Do you ever feel overwhelmed? Not by anything in particular, but just life. The journey of life can be daunting between working to pay the bills, growing your relationships to keep your family afloat. And then, where does that leave time for yourself and your personal health? Welcome to the I Killed My Own Killer book series and podcast, where we are all about juggling and managing all of your responsibilities to be by your side in growing through it all. This brand is here to help you achieve your goals. Whether they are personal and emotional goals you set for yourself, business goals you want to hit in your career, or physical and nutritional goals you want to accomplish to be a healthier version of yourself. Whatever your goals are, stay tuned for tips and tricks to make accomplishing them easier for you. Each episode will help you significantly improve in one aspect of your life or another.
Hey Facebook family, I'm back, Caitlin with the I Killed My Own Killer book series and podcast. I just hopped on to do this Facebook Live. It's another episode of our podcast, and right whenever I started, I told my husband to go sweep if he can, and he pulled out the vacuum. So there may be a little bit of background noise, but I think we're good. And my assistant, whenever she uploads the podcast via Apple iTunes or YouTube, it'll be easy peasy. Hey Emmy, thanks for watching. So tonight's episode is gonna be super festive. If you're rewatching this or re-listening to it on the podcast, I'm recording this around the holiday season. So that's where the festivity comes into play and the Christmas spirit. So before I begin our new podcast, I just want to say the last episode I recorded on Facebook Live, and it's on our Apple iTunes and YouTube account, was by an amazing guy, Ethan Smornberg. He's a husband. He's leveling up in his career in so many ways. He's leveling up in life in so many ways. I can tell the old Ethan that I knew versus the Ethan I interviewed last week, complete transformation. However, whenever I recorded this episode, I had my account settings set to only me. So you know who got to watch that amazing podcast afterwards? Only me. So be sure to go check out that episode. That's our last episode before this one. It has some amazing nuggets. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about one of my favorite movies. In spirit, can you guess it? It's a Christmas movie. I laugh at it every single time I watch it. I have to watch it every Christmas. Excuse my hair. Blame it on the hat. And I watched it last night drinking some hot chocolate. That Christmas movie is Elf. So if you have not watched Elf, go do yourself a favor and go watch that Christmas movie. It is amazing. It's super funny. That's what I love about it. And in one scene in particular, he is new to the American world. Let me just say he's been living under a rock. I'm not going to spoil the movie for you. But he gets on an escalator. It's an escalator, not an elevator. So he gets on the escalator in the mall, and he is trying to ride up the escalator, but he's got one foot stuck on the ground behind him, and Elf has got another foot on the escalator. So in your head, I'm sure you're thinking, what is he doing? How does that play out? One leg starts to go up, and the other one is stuck behind. So he needs to make a decision. Either that other leg is going to hop on and meet the other one, or he's got to let the front leg go before he splits it wide open on the escalator. So I laugh at that scene all the time. And I did a speech on this topic in 2016 in New York because it's such a good metaphor to life, your goals, your aspirations. You can't be half in. That's what today's episode is going to be about, but I'm going to break it down for you on all areas of life. Hey, Miss Yvette. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. We are talking about goals right now and using the funny analogy from the movie Elf in light of the Christmas spirit. Had to take my hat off. It's kind of itchy. However, we are going to dive right into this right now on that awesome analogy on having one leg on the escalator and one leg stuck behind, and how that can play out for you with your goals. So let's start off just talking relationships. Whenever I was dating and I was, getting into a serious relationship, my one leg on the escalator was me diving into that relationship. My one leg behind me was me still keeping in contact with people that I may have been forming relationships to previously. There is no way I'm going to level up and get to the top and succeed in that one relationship if I'm still hanging on to the baggage that's behind me. Maybe it's past boyfriends, past relationships. It's not until I commit to that one relationship till I can get to the top. Very similar to our boy Buddy the Elf, with him having one leg on the escalator and one leg behind him. So maybe you find yourself in that situation, you want to get in a committed relationship. However, it's hard to let go of maybe friends you have or just texting buddies or whatever your case is. But I promise you it's worth it if you just want to focus on that one relationship and make that one relationship succeed. You can even break that down into marriage. I know firsthand as a wife, if I'm trying to take my marriage to new heights, I can't keep those old ways that I used to have as a single girl or a girlfriend or even a fiance. There's things that I'm dying to daily as a wife, but I'm willing to do that because I want to go to higher grounds with my husband. I want to take our marriage to a new level. So I know if I take that foot that's behind me and just put it on the escalator with my other one, I'm gonna rise. So little examples of what that could look like in a marriage. As a wife, you got to figure out what works for you and for your husband. Maybe you have some old tendencies or ways that you used to say, oh, that's just who I am, or I've always been that way. I've always done it that way. A funny example of that is whenever I first met my husband, we are at Raising Cane's, okay? Picture this. And the lady gives us our chicken tenders. We drive off the drive-thru. Hey, Devon, thank y'all for watching. And as we are driving off in the drive-thru, I simply take the straw wrapper, like literally the paper that's around your straw, I take the paper off and I put it in the Raising Cane's bag so I can put the straw in the sweet tea. My husband, my boyfriend at the time, flipped his lid. Why did you put that paper in the Raising Cane's bag? He was so upset that I took the paper and the receipt and put it in the Raising Cane's bag. But in my mind, I'm like, your chicken tenders and french fries is in a box in the bag, so the paper is not gonna touch the box or the chicken tenders. But he was just so upset because he didn't want trash with his food. And if you know DePaul, he is a foodie. So I had to realize that, you know what, just because I've been doing it that way, taking receipts and straw wrappers and throwing it in the bag, even though my food is covered, that's not how my husband wants it. So think about that for you. What is something that you have been saying, that's just how I always done it, it's okay to do it that way, but it's not okay with your spouse? That was one thing for me where my foot was on the floor and my other one was trying to take my relationship to new heights, but I wasn't dying to those old ways because I thought my way was the right way and eventually he would just get over it. So those are some tidbits in a marriage, in a relationship, how you have to be on the same page. You have to be 100% in agreement to take that goal to the next level. I'm going to break it down for you in your spiritual life. Maybe you've been saying that you want to study the Bible, read the Bible more, study the Bible more, hang out with more Christian friends, level up in your relationships, get to know God more, have a deeper relationship with Him. If those are some of your goals, however, you're still going to the club, going to the bar, just having some of those old ways that you've been, hola David, having some of those old ways that you've just been doing forever, it's gonna make it challenging to get to that new level. You're gonna be just like our friend Buddy the Elf in a mid-split trying to get up the escalator, hanging on to your old habits but saying, man, I want a deeper relationship with God. And I will be 100% transparent with you because that's why I started this brand for personal development and relatability. That was me for a few years. My husband, DePaul, introduced me to an amazing friend of his, Chance, and he had this great relationship with God. And he was like, my God is dope. He was just an amazing example of somebody that had a relationship with God, not necessarily a religious person who was just going to church on Sunday and doing things out of tradition. So I realized that I wanted that dope relationship with God too. But I was hanging on to some of those old habits that I've had forever. And I realized a few months ago that those old habits that I'm holding on to, that's that leg stuck behind me that's not letting me get up the escalator. And I may look and say, man, I want that relationship with God. I desire to grow spiritually. What's happening? Well, what's happening is I'm not changing. I have to change myself internally in order for me to see the fruits of a better relationship with God or to grow spiritually. And I made that transition a few weeks ago, just letting go of some old bad habits, and it has been mind-blowing. The transformation that I wanted spiritually is all happening in front of my eyes because I realized that those old habits are not worth keeping if it's going to get in the way of me having that relationship with God. So that's just my personal example of, if you want to grow spiritually, you've got to let go of some old habits that may be holding you back. So dig deep and think, man, what could that be? And first off, what do I desire? Another goal that I set for myself spiritually is to read the word more, to get a better understanding of God, the Holy Spirit, Christ, because you go to church and you learn about it on Sundays, but that shouldn't be the end. I shouldn't wait for Sunday to happen. So getting in the word more, it required me waking up earlier or substituting Facebook, Instagram time for my Bible app time. You have to sacrifice something to gain something. So that's one change that I've been doing too. Now I've broken it down for you spiritually, relationally. Let's break it down in your finances. That's a big one. A lot of times we tell ourselves that we want to either make X amount of money or save X amount of money. However, years pass and we don't see the money in the bank account, and then we don't see the job promotions or us leveling up in our career. So that's another thing that we have to really look at and say, what is it that's holding me back? Why am I not reaching those newer heights that I strive for or that I really, really, really want in my financial health? So let's look at our friend Buddy the Elf with one leg on and one leg holding him back. He's got to have both of those legs on the escalator in order for him to fully ride to the top. And that's the same thing for you and your financial goals. You've got to have both feet. You have to be in unison with what you say and what you do. So if your goal is to make more money in your career and level up, you've got to do some things either in your job, in your industry, or maybe that's you being an entrepreneur that's gonna get you there. And in the entrepreneurial world, that one is very challenging because on average, it takes 5 years for a business to succeed or fully be profitable. So are you willing to delay your gratifications for 5 years until you see those results? That's a huge question if you want to step into the entrepreneurial world. My husband and I, we have done that. I write about that in my 4th book, I Killed My Husband's Killer, which talks about the entrepreneurial journey that he and I had. So be sure to check with me if you want more info on that. However, if you're trying to level up in your career or your industry, what are some things that you're holding on to that's not letting you get to that new job promotion or that new position that you desire? Is it comparison with you and another employee where you just compare yourself to everybody around you, which lowers the belief that you have in yourself? Or maybe you like to play the blame game on your boss or your coworkers instead of looking at yourself and saying, you know what, I could have did that project better. Or situations like that. So those are deep questions that you got to ask yourself to let go of that baggage behind you and take that foot that's behind you, put it on the foot in front, and get on the escalator and ride to the top in your financial health to level up and make more money. If your desire is to save money because you're at a really good financial state, you like the money that's coming in, you just have a spending problem, then the number one thing you got to do is be honest with yourself and say, yes, I do spend too much money. So if I want that back foot to get on the front foot with the other foot on the escalator and ride to the top of my financial health, I have to be in agreement with what I say. So if I want to save money, I do not need to go to Starbucks every single week to get my favorite drink. Some of us have little bitty habits like that that's really holding us back in our financial health. it's sad to say, we don't realize that these little bitty things that we do over time really compound into those long-term results. So if we want to save more money and up our financial health, it takes looking at those little bitty decisions. And I know as a mom, sometimes we're like, but my baby deserves it, or I want to buy this for them. And I get that. Trust me, I'm a mom. I love splurging on my little one. However, if they're super little, they're never going to remember those things. It's mainly for you. And if they're older, give them an opportunity to earn that money. So those are all tidbits that could help you in your financial health. And I am a firm believer of having a coach or a mentor or somebody that's been there, done that, help you. So if you find yourself struggling to get to that financial goal and you are tired of hitting that brick wall over and over, Sonia is a really good money coach. She's very affordable. She's located around Lafayette. However, she does a lot online too. And her business name is Fix It, Change It. So be sure to look up Sonia with Fix It, Change It. And she does little consultations on the phone where she can go over your current situation and really lay out a plan for you and your spouse, or if it's you by yourself, to get you to whatever goal it is that you have in your financial health. I've watched her change many lives when it comes to finances. She's amazing at what she does. So I highly recommend her. Well, the last goal area that I want to discuss is your physical health. So this involves your nutritional habits and your physical activity when we are talking about our awesome elf analogy of getting to the top of that escalator with both feet on them, not one foot on, not one foot behind like our friend Buddy the elf. And I know this is hard whenever it comes to your physical health, because maybe it's environmental factors that make you so wishy-washy with your eating habits. That's one of the biggest ones. If you decide that you want to be a healthier version of yourself and you find it hard to stick to one set of eating habits, then that may be because of the environment that you're around. If you're always going to your mom or your grandma's house to eat whatever it is that's available and they're cooking pot roast, gumbo, jambalaya, these are all Louisiana terms, then maybe that's what's holding you back and you have to create your own meal plan and stick to it. For me personally, I realized this whenever I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, that not everybody in the world eats the way we Cajuns and Creoles do. Whenever I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, my eyes were open to a cleaner way of living, people that ate their fruits and veggies and worked out a lot. So my environment really changed my perspective on what my body needs. And even if you live in Louisiana, which most of my viewers and listeners do, that doesn't mean that just because your environment is key that you have to stop right then and there. I love looking on Pinterest for different recipes. We have farmers markets and fresh pickings all over for fresh fruits and veggies. And Instagram is my best friend, because even though I'm not living in these areas where a lot of people are physically motivated, just looking at people on the internet inspires me. Colin Leonard, he's one guy that's into fitness from Morgan City, Louisiana. Whenever I see him in the gym, I'm like, okay, I need to get my butt up. I can do it too. So plug into different influencers or brands that motivate you when it comes to your physical health. So that was eating habits. I did talk a little bit about working out and physical activity too, but that was in a complete breakdown of how you can get to the top of that escalator, which is your goals, using the elf analogy, our friend Buddy the elf. If you missed that analogy, I talk about it at the very beginning of this podcast, and I talk about it throughout the podcast. But to wrap it up, it's just you gotta make a decision and commit to it to have both feet on that escalator to get to the top. Not one on and one behind. You've gotta have both of them on there. But yeah, Colin, make it a lifestyle. I love your brand and everything that it's about. If you're watching, definitely go check it out. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, look him up on Facebook and Instagram. He's there. So the Christmas contest that I'm doing is I am giving away 3 Christmas presents in the mail to our next 3 subscribers to our YouTube channel. All you have to do is go to the I Killed My Own Killer book series and podcast on YouTube, click subscribe, and then screenshot that to me and send it to me in my messenger. And the first 3 people, it is 6:45 right now, so the first 3 people that subscribe to our YouTube channel will get a holiday treat in the mail Call Me Mrs. Claus, because it'll be on your way. If you're just joining us, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to rewatch it so you can see how to get to the escalator, to the top of your goals, and kill it, finishing off 2020 and into 2021. I had an awesome time chit-chatting with y'all. Thanks for watching. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel on Apple, iTunes, and podcasts as well. Unlike Uncle Pullet, I see you watching. You don't have Apple. You're not an Apple user. But if you are an Apple user, be sure to subscribe. We'd love to have you join the family and the Facebook group as well. The I Killed My Own Killer book series and podcast Facebook group is popping. We have a holiday Christmas present train going on right now where we're gifting different presents to one another. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas.
Wow, how about that episode? I know you are motivated to kick your butt into gear and become a better version of yourself from this experience of the I Killed My Own Killer book series and podcast. The crazy title of this podcast comes from the original personal development book series. Each book will transform you even more than listening to this podcast. Each book takes a deeper dive into how you can better yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, and even spiritually. Continue your journey of personal growth by being a part of the amazing personal growth book series that is written in a fun fiction way with in-depth journals concluding each chapter. What are you waiting for? Go order your book at www.kfoxworth.com and join the Facebook community in the private Facebook group named I Killed My Own Killer book series and podcast. You don't want to miss out on the full trifecta experience, including the books, the podcast, and the mastermind community in Facebook groups. Keep your personal growth burning desire on fire and be part of it all. It all starts here. So thanks for listening to the podcast, and stick around for more great episodes to keep you growing in all areas of life. You are killing it.